Safercigsapos.co.uk, sponsors of the Haze Hour.
Well, good evening, and Happy New Murray to one and all. Welcome to vaportrails.tv here in 2013 on the, looks for date, finds date, Thursday, the 3rd of Janvier, as they would have it in France, which is fairly close to Brussels, but we're not going to talk about that. Well, we might a little bit. But yes, 3rd of January, Thursday the 3rd of January, and we're back. We're back in a new year, in the year of 2013, which is brilliant. And tonight you will note there is no Keith. One side or the other, part of Keith. Keith is now poorly bad in bed with a shawl on, both feet in one sock, waiting for the doctor to come and rub his chest with Vic. But Vic's in bed as well. She's poorly bad in bed with a shawl on as well. I think they're sharing the same socking, to be all honest. He's not well anyway. So he's not with us tonight. I'm going to take him some chicken soup round tomorrow before I go to see me MP. But tonight, he said, getting his bit of paper, it says here, there's all kinds it says here, we could be looking at all manner of things. If I go to that shot there, you'll get a clue. I've got the NJOY King to look at, the Evic update, the Sigelei Telescope, the Kanger MT3, the Sigelei XMAX, an update on that, and E-Shisha and all sorts of stuff. That's going to be one hell of a show. I think you'll agree. So I think probably the best thing to do is to whack the titles in and then get on with it. Shall I do that, Chris? I will.
Do that, Dave.
I'll do that. Here we go. And I see from chat, and yet again we have the best chat on the face of the planet, but I'm seeing from chat that the sound might be a little bit low, and he just kind of goes to that to show people that it might be a little bit low. There you are. This is what they get up to. If you've never been and seen us live, this is what happens in chat. There's all kinds of things on there. It's all good stuff. But yes, so I'm going to it's going right the way at the top and into the red for me here, mind, so I would think it must be about right. How's that? It's got to be better. Yeah, cool. Who's lagging, Dave? I'm not lagging. No way on the face of this planet am I lagging. Yes, right. All kinds of stuff to talk about tonight. And as I say, there's a plethora of stuff in front of me. Now, before we go any further, I just need to run through one or two bits and bobs, stuff that you kind of have to do because it's traditional. First is to wish you all a very, very happy new year, not in a jocular manner, but in all sincerity. I sincerely hope that 2013 brings you everything that 2012 didn't, excluding diseases, naturally. That's the first thing I've got to say. And thank you very much for tuning in and for joining us. Second, we all know that things are getting a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Iffy butty is probably the best word in the EU, and that is a major battle that we have to fight, and we have to fight it very soon. And we're going to be talking about that an awful lot on VT Talk and probably on Dave's Tackle Box as well. But what I want to try and do, as far as I can, having both shows, is to kind of keep the serious stuff in VT Talk, and make a Thursday night a bit more uplifting and enjoyable, perhaps even a little comedic, who knows, who can say, and just generally have some fun on a Thursday night. Serious stuff Wednesdays and Sundays I think is what we're looking at, and then Thursday night for and giggles, that sort of stuff. I think that's fair. I do. I think that's fair. So let's get straight into it, shall we, and talk about some of the stuff that's been landing on my desk over the festive period while I was laid poorly bad in bed with a shawl on, both feet in one sock, and a red ring round. Never mind. And let's go to this first. This is the I'll move these out the way now. This is the NJOY King. Now, those of us that are in the UK will know that at this moment in time, the NJOY King is not something we can readily get hold of. But I'm really, really hoping that somebody will get this in. Right now, you're gonna think I've gone loopy, but that's a nice little plastic. It is nice actually, but that's the beastie itself. That is the NJOY King, and it looks an awful lot like a cigarette, as you can see. Let's zoom into that a little bit, and even the livery around the white part of the battery looks an awful lot like the rings on a ciggy paper, and it's only really when you get to the top that you can tell that it's not. However, when you take a drag on it, I've fooled some people with this, I have. This is the bold, what they call the bold, 45 milligram, and it actually hits and feels in the mouth like a fag. It's really not a great deal heavier. Produces relatively well, and I'm going to say relatively well rather than superbly, because it isn't superb. But here's the thing about these things: if any of the vendors out there have got any hope of getting hold of these things and bringing them into the UK, I would suggest you do, and I'll tell you for why. I honestly believe that you could go and give this to any smoker you care to mention and say, have a drag of that, youngster, and they would be so used to the form factor. I mean, you can do everything you would do with a fag. And it's got the same kind of kick, the same kind of throat hit. The flavour's not exactly the same, even though they say it is. But yeah, Kev Bo from VP Live sent me this across. Thank you for it, Kev. I really do like this, and I'm going to try and make a feature in every show of showing you something you cannot get. And this is one of the things you cannot get in the UK at the minute. But when we can, I'm here to tell you that everything you've seen our American cousins saying about them is true. It is a cracking little piece of kit. I like it quite a lot. Very pleasant, very pleasant. So that is the NJOY King, is what that is. And as somebody said, it looks like a tab coming out of a lighter, but it's nice. It's a disposable. It's not going to give you the 40 fags that they claim. There's no way. Not a hope in hell of that happening. But the fact of the matter is, as I say, if you know somebody that's thinking about sticking their toes in the water and wants to give an e-cig a try, if we get them in the UK, that would be a good place to start. Just as a tryout, amongst the many others that we've kind of said are pretty good over the last 12 months. There's some good stuff kicking about. I'm quite impressed by that. Now I'm seeing in our chat, Blackwater Vapor is saying that e-cig is the closest that he's found. And if you don't believe us, there it is. e-cig is the closest he's found. He's got a mate that wouldn't touch any others. There you go. This is what our chat is saying. I'm going to keep doing that to your chat, so beware. If anybody types anything naughty in, it's name and shame time. I don't care. I don't care. Where shall we go to next? So many things to talk about. So many things to talk about. Before Christmas, as you will remember, we were talking at some length about the Evic, and I know there are mixed feelings about the Evic, mixed reactions about it. But as you may recall, in the first incarnation of the firmware that came out, I was a little bit scathing about its usability on the basis that it really wasn't very usable for somebody that was used to variable wattage or power control, as I prefer to call it. The version 1 software on the Evic was naff. Well, version 1.1 has been and come and gone and went, if you like. Pardon me, I had it here. And indeed I do have it here. But the good news is version 2 is coming up, but here it is. And if actually we go and have a look at the firmware, it tells you what's in it. So let's go and see, and I'll tell you whether it's right or not. As you'll see, the first thing there, it says real VW adjustment. We change the option power set name to vapor set, and then add option VV/VW into sub option switch of power set. When you choose VV or VW, you are able to adjust voltage or wattage directly in the main interface. And you can. And it's there. I shall go to close you up, you can. And you shall be able to see. There we have it set, as you can see, at 8.1 watts. Let's get it really close up so you can. And just by turning the ring, it takes it up and down, as you might expect. I'll get the light. There you are. It's stopped reflecting now so you can see. And according to this, I've got 372 draws left, but if I take it down far enough, I've now got 381. And if anybody can remember what I had it set to, will you tell me please? That was 8 watts. There you go, 8 watts. So that does exactly what they've said on the tin. It works that way. Let's go and see what the next thing is they say it'll do. Because I'll tell you why I'm doing this as well, just in case you don't know. I tend to go by what it says on the tin. If it does what it says on the tin, then you really can't complain, because you're not being told porky pies. So I'm doing what it says on the tin, and let's see whether it works. So let's go across to that website again, and we'll see here, atomizer real-time detection. Real-time automatically resistance detecting to guarantee you have a real watt output and a real display information whenever you change one atomizer. Now if you caught my first look at it, you'll remember that what I said, I could not believe that while you could set watts in a roundabout way, it didn't automatically detect the resistance of the atomizer. But if I unscrew the one I have on here, which a number of people will have recognised as a Fogarty, I am sure. We'll put that to one side in its little base and we'll go to that cam. So you no, we'll not. We'll go to that cam so you can see what's going on. Right, it's showing not a fat lot, and I need to put on another atomizer of another resistance, and I will pick a Cobra. Why not? And we'll screw that on, and you can see what's happening. I hope it's automatically. Did you see that? Do I need to show that again? Let's do it again. So it'll detect that there's note there, and we'll go and screw it in again. Try and keep my hands out of the way this time so you can see what it says. No, it's because the atomizer. There you go. Atomizer detecting 2.3 ohms. Did that show? Please tell me it showed. I can't see chat at the minute. So that should now be still at 8 watts. It's changed everything around, so I'm still getting 8 watts, and I'll know for a certain fact if it is. And yes, it is, because I know this needs closer to 11 to really make it blast. Yes, that's working very nicely. I will, I think, though, put the Fogarty back on, because I'm trying to burn this coil in. What does it say next? Let's have a look. It says wattage range modification. Due to hardware and software limitations, Evic cannot reach 15 watts. So we modified the range to 2 to 11 watts, and the range will change depend on the resistance. E.g., when you use 2.1 ohms, the range will be 4.2 watts to 11 watts. Well, let's see if we can try that out. And in order to do that, I need to go into the menu. So let's go into the menu, get it into real close up, and go down to device and see what the ohmage is. As luck would have it, it's 2.1 watts, 2.1 volts, I'm sorry. So let's come out of that and go back into the main menu, which is there, and let's scroll it down. Now I can show you something here. I think if you do 1, 2, 3 and hold it, it's supposed to go quickly. There we go. And it's scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down. 4.2 watts. So let's go up over 1, 2, 3, 4 and hold it. And it'll go up to 11 watts, but it won't go any further. Like I say, this is just checking what it says on the tin. 9.9, 10, 11. There you go. That's exactly right. I'm going to take it back down to where I want it, which is 8. But as you can see, stop. There you go. Scrolls all the way down. Now the way that works is you don't actually need to hold it over there. It'll just scroll down and you stop it with a twist to the opposite side to stop it from scrolling. So it's right, with a 2.1 ohm atomizer it will do from 4.2 watts to 11 watts, and I'm here to tell you I've scoped it out and it actually does, which is good. So the fast wattage bit, let's go back to there, and it's down there, isn't it? The fast voltage wattage adjustment in the main interface. Turn the direction key one direction 3 times fast, then voltage, or, and it's what it says there. It'll be increased or decreased fast automatically. Turn the direction key in opposite direction to stop. Well, how's about that? We got a twofer. 2 birds for 1 stone. The final bit of thing on there that it says is the warning temperature adjustment. Right at the bottom, number 5. We add sub-option current degree C and alarm degree C into option temp degree C. In alarm degree C, you can adjust the warning temperature and decide when the overheating mark flashes. For me, that's a little bit like the puff counter, except that if you do exceed the threshold that you've set, it'll stop working. So I've got this one set, I think, to about 85 because it's never going to get that high, and it seems to be doing the job quite nicely indeed. So with the version 1.1 software, where are we with that? Well, now it's kind of pleasing and it's kind of frustrating, especially that version 2 is on its way. But had it been not upgradable and you'd bought the first one, you would have been very, very disappointed, and you would have remained disappointed because in order to get it to do better, you'd have needed to buy the second version. And I think we've all been there with all sorts of different devices. I'm not going to name any because some people are very happy with version 1, and some people weren't happy with version 1 but were happy with version 2, various different things. Let's just say I've had 2 XMAXs, version 1 and a version 2, and the version 2 was definitely better than the version 1. With this, of course, you can flash upgrade it, and it doesn't take very long to do at all. I will freely admit, spit teeth at the fact that I had to get a PC out in order to be able to do it, but I did manage to do it. And I've got to say that this thing has been getting 50% or more of the daily use every day. Now I should point out as well, as you will note, it's not the standard body. I did get the stainless steel body from highendsmoke.de, and in my view it was worthwhile doing. If you put the two side by side, to me there's no comparison. That aluminium body feels a bit, it's just a bit naff. It doesn't feel solid enough, whereas this stainless steel is damn good quality stainless steel, and it's good and heavy, and it's a good handful, if you know what I mean. And I have to be honest, I've always been fond of a good handful, which is probably a good time to go into the adverts before I say something I shouldn't and get wrong. So yes, before I do though, Evic, do I like it? Yes I do. Would I buy another one? Yes I would. I'm looking forward to seeing what version 2 brings out with it. Now, Those of you that were looking for 15 watts out of it and are a little disappointed that 11 watts is there, I get that. But I think the hardware can handle it. I just think they've got to address that in version 2. For me, it's less of an issue because I very rarely go above 10 watts. And I'm here to tell you that most people that I'm aware of very rarely go above 10 watts. But at the moment, this thing is working like it's on steroids. And I like it an awful lot. That is a lovely little combination. The Fogarty and the Evic in stainless steel together make me a very happy bunny. We'll go into the adverts. Spot the difference.
Safercigs.co.uk sponsors of the Haze Hour.
Good evening, eventually. Took a little while to get things lined up and ready to go. But I'm here now, so welcome to the stack of episodes.
So there we go, I'm back in the room and not long to go now. So yeah, I was talking to my son and he's watching me make things before. And a very good morning to you. It is Tuesday, 20th of November 2012, and looking into basic That's the Evic TV tells us. Tonight being Wednesday night, it is time for the one and only chat show programme called VT Talk. This is the Haze out again. Kate was just saying if it wasn't for the titles, he wouldn't come and do the show. He loves it so much better.
iVapor and iVapor Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's ivapor.co.uk and ivapor-elixir.co.uk. iVapor and ivapor-elixir.co.uk, proud sponsors of vaportrails.tv.
Safercigs, sponsors of the Haze Hour.
Did you spot the difference? I'm very, very happy to welcome Daz at Safercigs to be the sponsor for the Haze Hour. Very, very happy. Daz, thank you for your support. We here at vaportrails.tv really, really appreciate it. Nobody more than me. It's all good, all good. I was just reading back through chat while the adverts were on there, and people were talking about the kick. Yes, Disco has spotted it. I'm sorry, I've got to go away from watching the chat, otherwise I'll get all confused and we can't be having that. Yes, I need to change my order a little bit, I think, and we'll go to this little beastie next. I think, like I said, it's a queer show tonight. It's not the kind of show I'm used to doing, but here we go. I've got two devices here that I would like to look at, and it could even be more than that when you think about it, but this is the little beast in question. This here is the Sigelei Telescope, available from safercigs.co.uk, and it kind of is what it says on the tin. It's a telescopic mod. Let's take it to bits and show you how it all comes together. And I was kind of hoping that you could hear that threading going on, and you might notice, if I can find my little tweezerlisers, that I have already got a kick in this, and we'll talk about that at a little bit more length in a little wee while. But basically it comes in 3 parts, and those there are the 3 parts. You've got what I'm going to call the nose end, which has in what looks like an ego adapter but isn't. It's a 510. There are no threads on the outside section of that adapter, right? So it won't take something like a Kanger MT3, because that needs the threads on the outside. So it's a 510 connection. It will therefore take something like, he said, finding one very quickly, a Vision Ego, because the Vision Ego threading, whoops, that way David, is actually on the connector itself. So that will, it's got both on, and it'll screw in quite nicely, as you can see. I'll try that again, this time on camera. Well, you can see it works. So top end 510, no threading on the outside. All right, and then you've got this knurled, what I call the back end, or the main bit, if you like. Now, good part about this, these are interchangeable, these pieces, but that just screws on to telescope, as you might imagine. And I'm gonna screw that on up close to my mic so you can hear. And that's the sound of good threading. They're actually very, very well cut, very well cut. Let's stick one of my favourite batteries in, a Panasonic GC 18. Come on, David, get it right. CGR 18650CH is what it's called. We'll stick that in. Just wind this back out, and then the switch. Now it's a bottom button job, this, so screws in quite nicely, especially if you don't cross thread it, which I have. There we go. I've got it the wrong way around. Don't let anybody ever tell you I know what I'm doing, because I don't. Right, now it's the right way around. And let's get it in. There we go. Get things the right way around, you thread perfectly. Okay. And then you can just tighten that up until it's solid. And then, as you can see, the switch is in locked position. So all you have to do is just unscrew that however far it needs to be unscrewed in order for you to be able to make contact. Now I have here a Kanger MT3 into which I've already put an Ego adapter, so that it'll fit on there. There's method in me madness. Put that on, and then the thing to do is just press the button and listen, and just unscrew it until it makes contact. There we go. We're now in the situation where it'll work. Now that's evening Moonlit, Happy New Year. Moonlit's just joined in the chat, everybody, and he said method in your Magnus. Yes, there's something in me Magnus. Good health, many of them. Happy New Year, Happy New Merry. May all your Christmases be white, and other such phrases. Purely medicinal, of course, just to keep the clack lubricated, so that I can actually speak. Now I've got to say, I'm not a bottom button fan. It's the first thing I'm going to say. And I do know that there are other models of telescope out there. And I do know that the other models of telescope, if you stand them on their tops, like that, will fire. I'm here to tell you that the spring in this thing is heavy enough to be able to buffer a train. It does take some pressing, and you've really got to put some pressure on to get it to make contact. It's quite heavy, and I think you might be able to find a lighter spring to make it a little less heavy, but obviously you don't want it light enough that it's just going to go off if you stand it on its tail. But it is, for me at any rate, that's a bit of a plus, that you can stand it very stably, I might add, on its tail, and it works quite well. Now there's something else I should have pointed out as well, particularly for those people that subscribe to the ECF school of everything needs to have slots and vent holes in it. Because as you'll have noticed, there are no vent holes at the bottom of the unit. However, let me take its top off, like so, getting used to this new camera position, and if I slide in an IMR, look what you can see through that little window there. Look, look, look. There's 1, 2, 3 slots, big slots, the full length. I think that coincides exactly with the ECF recommendations, whether you agree with them or not. It coincides with them, and I don't, I've got to be honest. So I'll stick with my Panasonic, thank you very much, which I have to say is causing no bother at all. And it's very adjustable. I like the idea that you can change the base on them. It's all good stuff, in fact. And I've got myself lost with buttons tonight. I do apologise. Let's go to the right page and then we can see. It's available, as I said, from our new sponsor, Safercigs. And there it is. On offer at £35. And as I say, these things are fully adjustable. So you can put a kick in it, as I had. It will take all sorts of things. 17670s, 18650s, you name it. If it's 18 or 17, it'll handle it. That's pretty much everything you need to know. Now, as I say, the new bottom ends of these, the different bottom ends of these, are not yet available, but they will be very shortly. And I've seen a few pictures of them. And there's some really nice designs available, and you might want to have a look at them. So that's the Sigelei Telescope. 35 quid's worth of mechanical, all mechanical bottom button mod. Now, as I've said, I'm not a big bottom button man. I never was. I do find the button to be a little bit heavy for me, but then it's not something I'm used to. But I think if you're used to a bottom button, then you might well be able to get used to this quite quickly. I would be looking to people like Gordy and indeed Dave Kitson, both of whom are bottom button men, and I'm sure that they'll say whether or not it fits with what they would expect. But I can certainly work it with my pinky. And it does the job very nicely, kicked or not. Ah, the kick, yes. Yes. I must show you this while I remember. If you're going to kick it, it's got slots up it, as we said. So let's look at how you line a kick up. The kick has, he said, going into very, very close-up mode, the kick has that little negative connection there. And that, you don't want to line it up with a slot, because I thought I'd broken mine, and I hadn't. It needs to line up with a non-slot and push it in, and then drive it home with the battery, and then screw your tailpiece on, like so. And there you have a kicked telescope, and it does work. Oh yes. The beauty being, of course, that the kick in a bottom button device, like the telescope, like a GG, like many of the bottom button devices, it goes to sleep, as in there's no current going through before the button's pressed, and therefore you get a little bit longer out of your batteries. This is not a great deal of difference, but it's just worthy of note that you get a little bit longer out of your batteries. So that's the Sigelei kick, as I say, available from Daz at safersigs.co.uk. And on top of it, I've got the Kanger MT3. Now, this is a piece of kit. It arrived today, I've got to tell you. I've not been using it for a massive length of time. It arrived today, and as you can see, I've needed to put a 510 to Ego adapter on there so that I can actually use it on the telescope, because the telescope is the same actually as the Sigelei XMAX in that it's not threaded, as we said earlier on, for Egos. So what is it? Well, if you know what a clear miser looks like, something like one of these, which is, of course, as you can see, a Vision Ego, the Kanger MT3 is very, very similar, except that, as you can plainly see, it's shrouded in metal. In this case, it's a brushed finish. I also have a black, or should I say, there is a black one in our household, which unfortunately I'm being denied access to, for the simple reason that my darling wife has it, and she's not giving it up. At first I decided to try and unscrew the top end and then realised that wasn't the way to go at it. Filling it is a piece of cake. You just unscrew the bottom end like so, and then fill it gently. Ooh, find a juice you like, David. That one will do. Yeah. And then just fill it. This is going to be difficult to get this in shot properly. Down the side, you've got little windows in it, as you can see, that show you where the juice is, so you can get it filled up that way. And while I've got that bottom off, I'd probably better show you what's involved. I'll show you with a clean one. You can buy these separately for £2.50, but you can very easily see what the makeup of it is. I'll just screw that other one together just to be on the safe side. Right, so there you can see the wicks sticking out, the bottom coil. So the coil's right at the bottom here, held in a little tiny little wee chamber there, and obviously suck the juice in that's surrounding them inside the tube. This, if you like, is the chimney that goes up to the mouthpiece, up which the vapour comes. And of course there is the bottom of it, which as you can see is threaded on the outside for ego connectors rather than 510. I've looked at the makeup of this and I suspect that people are going to start recoiling them at some point. It's not something I'm going to do immediately, if at all, because I'm not really that bothered. £2.50 for something that's already put together saves my eyes an awful lot of work that they don't need. That screws into the base, as you can see, and as you can also probably make out, even on that shot, but if I get closer you'll definitely can, there's one air hole, two air holes, three air holes, four air holes. And I've got to say, in use it is quite airy. I know for a certain fact Chris, Cat, would find it too airy. I like it. I'm not that keen on a tight draw. I have been described actually as being too strong for light work, and that might well be the case. But I do quite like a light draw. I really don't want a bread poultice on the back of my neck to be able to draw on an e-cig. This draws very easily, and I set this up when it arrived at 11 o'clock this morning, put it all together, found out where I needed my kick set at to give me what I wanted, and it's at around about 7.5, 8 watts, which is where I seem to be for everything these days, going soft in my old age. I've put 45 milligram juice in this, and it produces. Let me attempt to demonstrate, he said, taking any excuse for a talk that he can get. I think you can see it is producing clouds of thick, chewy vapour. The throat hit is wonderful, which is what I would expect from 45 milligram juice. And I'm here to tell you, it's not killing the flavour either. Now, Kangers have got a reputation for the original Kanger Cliro bottom coil has got a reputation for doing good flavour, and this one is certainly not damaging that reputation in any way, shape or form. It's I've been using it all day in this setup with the kick, an 18500 battery on the Sigelei Telescope, and thus far I've had no dry hits. I've had nothing that's made me go whoa, hang on a little while. It took me a little while to realise I needed to turn the kick down from the 10 watts where I usually am to around about 8, and it's working really, really nicely for me. No leaks that I've seen thus far. I would imagine if you don't screw the base to the top properly, then you would get some, but I've not seen any leaks. The draw is nice for me, but again, if you wanted to, you could block a couple of the holes off. He said, I'll try that. And that doesn't oh dear me, that does tighten it up and give you a bit more throat hit. Whoa, I do apologise. I'll do that again. And no, I'm not going to, well, I'll try a nose hit. I perhaps shouldn't have done that. Wow. When I got told about them, I was told that they would appeal to anybody that liked the Vision Ego because they're even nicer, and I thought that's going to be hard to do because the Vision Ego is really rather good. But it's right. They hold more. 3 mils. I've measured 3 mils into this. I used the syringe to fill it so that I could measure, and I got 3 mils in, and that was without being daft about it. It takes 3 mils because you're doing it upside down. You do it just where the little tube that's on the inside stops, and you get exactly 3 mils in. Exactly, mind, not nearly, exactly. Put the top in and everything's absolutely fine. It seems to be very well sealed. As I say, I've had no leaks, not links, and it's doing the job really rather nicely, and I think at quite a good price. They're retailing at £5.40. There's the page. You can get a 5-pack of coils at 2.5 ohms. It'll cost you £10.50, and one on its Todd, it cost you £2.50. So £5.40 for the job itself, and a variety of different colours there. That's not bad going at all. I think it's a winner. I like it. Time will tell. It's a first look. We'll see how it goes. But thus far, I haven't managed to pry the black one out of my wife's hands, and yes, I'm liking that setup. That's not bad at all. That's going with me to the cocktail party tomorrow night, together with some other things that we'll be looking at right after the break. Spot the difference. See you in 2.
Safercigs.co.uk sponsors of the Haze Hour. Safercigs, sponsors of the Haze Hour.
Whoops. Never mind. I ejaculated onto the button a little bit too early. I do apologise for that. Well, that's probably because, again, I got confused from reading chat. I should never ever read chat. But if I can just enlighten everybody that's not live as to what's being said. Maddie Paulus has asked the question and made the point, in fact. He's asked, and Disco Des has asked, what about the mouthpiece? Is it proprietary? And yes, I think it probably is proprietary. But you will have noticed, if you can read what's on screen, that Daz at Safercigs is going to request it and see what they say. See whether we can get 5-10 fitting drip tips to go on there. Phil Emerson, Pip MO as he used to be, has asked if they come in Sheffield Wednesday blue, and if so, he'll have to get one. Yes. Are they called the Blades? I don't know. But there you go. And Moonlit's talking about modding it all together already. But there you go. And if you can see what Roadhog UK has said on the bottom, I should always read chat Dave we has cookies. I'm too fat to start with, but thanks for the offer, Andy. Yes, no, if I read chat I get confuzzleized. I get taken up by what I'm reading and go off into a little world of my own. Well, into a different world of my own. It's not my fault. I'm an old man and I'm what? How dare, oh right, I take it, yes, Mr. Emerson has put me right. Apparently the blades, I should have said the owls. I do apologise, Phil. Is the owls right? Yes, there we go. The owls. In blue, Sheffield blue. I ought to know that, given that my wife's from Sheffield. My wife, who is now retired, by the way. So with a little bit of luck and following wind, I might be able to inveigle her and entice her onto the show. You never just know. In which case I can share her rapturous beauty with you. Which is, there, oh, I've got it right. I've got it right. There we go. Let's blast on with the next on this long list of stuff to look at, and I'm trying to keep in the order that I had written down. And one of the items that I looked at prior to Christmas, when it has to be said, I've had my knuckles slightly wrapped because I did mention that I'd bought this device, the Sigelei XMAX, in a group buy on the All About E-Cigs forum, which I called Fluffy Bunnies. And I called it Fluffy Bunnies as a term of endearment. If you go there now to the All About E-Cigs forum, we've got a link on the front page of vaportrails.tv across to the forum. You will see that in that little bit on the left of the forum where you've got your signature and everything else, it says I'm a Fluffy Bunny too, and I am. And I'm proud to be, so there. The Sigelei XMAX I got in this group buy, and again I really can't knock it. There's only the very slightest of niggles, and the major of these slightest of niggles is that the window is just slightly out of kilter. If I go into closey uppy mode, you'll see that it'll lift out, and basically what's happened is the glue hasn't properly taken. It hasn't had time to set off properly. It needs a little run of super glue down that edge, and that'll be it. I just haven't got any at the minute. That's the only problem I've had with it. Its menuing system is delightful. It's showing the 2.5 ohms of my atomizer, which goes up and down at the moment. The menuing system is 3 clicks and you're in, so it's on and off, on, and so on and so forth. I'll do it at a distance, you'll still be able to see. Power up, and I've got this set to watts. Power down, same sort of thing. So at the moment that's set at 12 watts. Take it down to 9.5 watts for argument's sake. It's as easy as that. We've got the battery voltage. Let's see what it's telling me. I've got 3.5 volts left, so I probably need to put a new battery in. LCD display, you can show the resistance, which is what I've got shown at the moment. This shows 3 times. This does annoy me, I must admit. It only needs to scroll by once, not the twice or 3 times that it does. And if we go further up, we've got LCD on and off. Well, I'll leave it on so I can see whether my resistance is varying over time, because I've wound some queer coils in my time. Further up we go, and we can choose between power and voltage, and I'm set to power, and I would suggest that's where you set yours. Really doesn't need anything other than that. And finally, number 8, it's RMS and mean, and I'm set to RMS, and that's where I would suggest you set yours too. This has not let me down since I got it. It's weighty like the telescope, and actually if you're somebody that likes things to match, look at those two. They match beautifully in terms of the design of them. The metal is the same, the fluting's the same. I really do like that a lot. So much so, in fact, that there is another group buy on the All About forum, and I'm having another one of these, another one of the XMAXs, They are a really cracking device. I'm very, very pleased with this one. It's doing me very well. It's not let me down. It's served me absolutely perfectly. There's just that little thing with the window, and to be honest, a little bit of glue will sort it, and that's something that I've got to give a load of props to Macafan. I wish I knew his proper name, but apparently he's a McLaren fan. Formula 1, McLaren, Macafan. I had thought he was a Paul McCartney fan, in which case I was going to say what you... Never mind. Yes, and he's going to go back to Sigelei and say, right, you need to get that sorted. And he has no doubt that they will, and to be honest, neither do I. I quite like what's coming out of the Sigelei factory, however you pronounce it. But it's working really well. I like it a lot. And it looks nice with stainless steel atomizers and stuff like that. No colour in them at all. Time to move on, because I'll be running out of time. I've only got 9 minutes left, and I want to go to these again from Daz, and these are the E-Shisha with an A on the end. You can see it there, there's an A on the end, and this is the mixed flavour pack, and they arrived this morning, and Jill and myself sat and tried them, and Daz had said he loves the cappuccino one really well. We've got all sorts of flavours here. Where are we? That one. Green for apple, says apple. We've got blue for watermelon. Not blueberry as I had thought, it's watermelon. It's difficult to see on there, but it does say watermelon. Purple is grape. You might be able to see that. Let's try really, really close up we come. Is that going to focus? Yeah. Grape in purple. And then in red we have cherry, which apparently we need to be told that it's 0 milligram. And then finally the cappuccino in, well, I don't know what colour that is. Orange? Brown? Coffee coloured, I suppose. So let's have a quick blast through them and see what they taste like. I actually know. Again, the disposables. I'll start with the apple, because I know you'll be able to see that. If you're a flavour hound, you'll love these. They're not massive producers. That's the flavour of a russet apple, and it is so lifelike. It's not a candy apple in any way, shape or form. It's really rather pleasant. Let's go to, I'm trying to avoid the blue, otherwise it'll just disappear. We'll go to the grape next. Give that a blast. And that does taste like, more like grape juice than grape, but it's again nice. It's all right. The cherry one, think cherry lips. You remember the cherry lips you used to get when you were a kid, or I used to get when I was a kid? It's a million years ago. They looked like lips and they were red and they tasted of cherries. That's exactly what this tastes like. Cherry lips, lush. Now I've just seen in chat, Moonlit said, after the Kanger thing, these look pathetic. I'm going to come to that in a minute. And there's a reason why I don't think it matters. I'll go for the blue one that looks black now. Or looks brown if I put it there. This is magic. It's a magic one. If you get the blue one, it's magic if you're in my studio. And this is the watermelon. And what I'm going to say is, that's more like a cantaloupe, not honeydew. It's not all the way to watermelon, it's more like a cantaloupe. A heart organ, if you know them. But it's a really nice flavour. And finally, cappuccino. We'll give this a blast. and that tastes like a creamy coffee. Right, if you were to go to Costa and get a ristretto, right, a Costa ristretto, and then pour some cream on it, has to be cream, that's the flavour you've got from this. It's gorgeous. Has to be Costa, mind. The other lot won't do. Starbucks, it's not the same. Right, vapour wise, just to go back to what they were saying in chat about the lack of vapour. If you've ever smoked a shisha, a proper shisha, there shouldn't actually be a great deal of smoke. It's supposed to be vaporised, and it goes through water and it gets rid of an awful lot of the particulates that are in there. So the fact that these things aren't knocking a great fat lot of vapour out is actually closer to them being authentic. From my point of view, as somebody that likes nicotine, I'm going to take them with me to the cocktail party, and if anybody wants to try them, I'm not going to be scared to let them. Anybody that's got the slightest worry about nicotine, I'll be fine on these. Now, I happen to know that the bright young set, the 18 to 35s that are going out clubbing, are using these left, right and centre. They're waving them around like rave sticks and what have you, and thoroughly enjoying them. And if you're a flavour hound and you want something for a standby, or you want something that's got some really good flavour to it, these are actually excellent. I've never come across a coffee that I would enjoy, and I like that. I really do. You get that in 36mg, I'd be a happy bunny. But, you know, it's 0mg for those people that actually want to use something like that. There's some queer folks about. I've got no idea why they would want to. And as has already been posted in the chat, if the EU gets its own way, which if we've got anything to do with it, they won't. And by we, I mean everybody that watches this show and everybody that they know. That's all you'll be able to get, effectively. You'll not be able to get much more than what I've just tried. And if you're a flavour hound and really like the flavour and you're not bothered about the nicotine, that's probably all well and good. If you like the nicotine, it's not. But we'll be talking more about that on Sunday night on Dave's Tackle Box, and on VT Talk next Wednesday night, when Clive Bates will be my guest. He is the one-time director of ASH, Action on Smoking and Health in the UK, and that guy's got a lot of information and a lot of ins, and you need to be there for both shows. Well, you need to be there for all of them. You've seen what they are and when they are, and you really can't afford to miss them. And it's almost time for me to close the show down. It's one of those days, and I've gone and pressed the wrong button, so I can't see what I'm doing. There we are, I'm back in the room. I just need to bring up Master Layer 2 so that I can set the credits away, and there's some changes there as well, see if you can spot them. This has been the first show of 2013, and it's been my pleasure to be able to deliver it to you. Thank you for having me on your computers, in your homes, on your podcasts, in YouTube and wherever else you view us. We appreciate you taking the time to watch our shows. My thanks go to Chris, Kat Heseltine, and Kirstine Savmanson, and Hi-Fi Stud, whoever he is. But most of all, my thanks go to you for tuning in and for watching, and to our chat. That is, without doubt, the best chat on the face of the planet. I've thoroughly enjoyed being here with you. Hang about until it's finally finished. I might see you on Sunday, but certainly tune in for Dave, Monday for Gary and Mark, Tuesday for Marco, and I'll be back next Wednesday. Until then, from me, bye-bye.
The Haze Hour, sponsored by Safercigsapos.